All right, I just want to give you guys an example of a welding mask. This is going to be an auto darkening welding mask. Sorry for the loud kind of background noise. It's raining pretty hard. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. But so this is going to be a auto darkening welding mask. So what the great thing about having an auto darkening mask is we could change that to different shades. So if we're doing different weldings, again, stick welding or MIG welding, we want to be around a shade 10 or even higher. Shade 9 will be the absolute minimum. That again is going to protect our eyes. And if we're doing oxyacetylene welding, then we could change this, again, shade all the way down to a shade 5. Even if we're using this to protect ourselves when we're grinding, we could also put that to a shade 5. And that way we're still getting the face protection as well as the eye protection from the bright sparks. So kind of going back and talking about different types of welding masks, we have a fixed shaded mask, which is going to be a fixed shade lens. So we can't change that. It's going to have a flip up type hood or even a flip up type lens that before we start our weld, if we need to see our project, we could then flip that up and then have that visible clear line and then flip it down and then we're into that shade. The beauty about the auto darkening is, as you kind of see through this, it's going to be clear through it, and as soon as we begin our weld, it's going to switch instantly. How this works, again, there's sensors inside of here. We could, again, power this on, and then again, it's going to give us some basic information. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but it's going to be about a shade 10 right now. How many second delay? It's going to be a 2-second delay, and then a sensitivity of 2. So we could bump up the sensitivity if we're welding outside. We could be less sensitive. That way it's not triggering by the sun. And if we're welding inside, then we could be more sensitive due to the fact that it's not going to be triggered by that sun. So I would say this would be the better of the types. Again, it's definitely the more expensive, but for eye protection, this is your eyes. You only get 2 of them. So I would definitely invest, if you guys are going to take up welding or have you welding in your facilities, to make sure that your equipment manager or yourselves has the appropriate mask. So again, the shade that we're talking about is shade 10. We could go down to shade 9 minimum, but for MIG welding and stick welding, shade 10 is the absolute minimum. And if you, well, we won't really talk about TIG welding, but that's another type of welding which would have to be a higher shade than that. And usually we're dealing with about shade 13. So that's how dark that lens physically is.